Hello everyone, Science Viking here, and I'm ready to begin our next project, which is Myth the Fallen Lords. This is actually a product of Bungie, yes, the same people who made Halo, though this is a bit older than Halo, and those of you who've played this game before, or maybe just watched other Let's Plays of it, will notice that I have a couple of patches installed. That's really just to make the game work properly on my current rig. This is a very old game, and so it doesn't work all that well out of the box anymore. But every patch that I have is available at tain.totalcodex.net. And I'll have a link in the description to the site where I got all of the patches and mods and stuff that I'm using to make this happen. My goal is to create as authentic of a gameplay experience as I can. So some of the menus will look a bit different and some things like that, but the actual gameplay should be the same that it was originally. Alright, let's start a new game. Great music in this game.
Wednesday, August 3rd, Crow's Bridge. Yesterday our legion entered the village of Crow's Bridge and halted there for the night. We are just 4 days' march from the besieged city of Madrigal now, and with a little luck should arrive there in time to prevent its capture by the enemy. Shiva, one of the Fallen Lords, has been attacking the city for 2 days, but so far has been held back by its defenders. We all know the battle for Madrigal will decide the fate of all the northern lands.
This image in the upper left screen shows troop movements related to what the narrator's talking about.
The villagers here pleaded with us to remain when we broke camp this morning. None of them understand yet what is happening, but they have all seen the refugees from the south, and they are frightened. Our officers seemed unsympathetic until the people returned with 9 young pigs and 10 dozen loaves of bread. 15 of us are to stay now, perhaps to fight boredom instead of the Fallen Lords, and watch the bridge here.
Controlling an army that can be bribed by bacon sandwiches. Alright, and now we're in the actual gameplay. Pretty much all the story is conveyed by that narrator guy. And we start off with these 2 warriors being attacked by an army of the basic enemy units, Thrall. And if we scroll the map back, if we scroll our screen back here, we can see 4 more warriors. Is that all we get for this level? No, actually. If you look up in the right corner, we have a mini-map. Normally it doesn't start off completely filled in. And we can, if you click on the map, it will jump you over to that area, where we have these guys in addition. We also have villagers. Can I have them build things for me so that I can train new units? No, I can't. The way it works is also, if you click on an enemy, if they're outlined in blue, they're neutral. You can't control them, but they won't try to hurt you. If they're outlined in yellow, you can control them. And if they're outlined in red, they're the enemy. Now, the way this game works is you actually cannot, unlike, say, StarCraft, you actually cannot create new units at all. You have what you get at the beginning of the level, and that's all you get to work with. If you lose a unit, you're just out of luck. Now, our 3 basic unit types, which are all we get for this level, are warriors. They're our standard melee guys. They have swords and shields, and they hit people with them, and are fairly tough. They're actually tougher than a lot of the enemy melee units that we'll be seeing, and are also the fastest moving units that we get in this level. But the downside is that they have no ranged attack, which means every time they attack something, they take a little bit of damage themselves, which you can't really recover, and you can't replace them, so every time you use them they get a little weaker. Then we have archers. They shoot arrows, which do okay damage, but the main benefit to them is that they're ranged, so they're great at taking out fragile enemy units. These enemy units here are ghouls. They're weak, they have less health and are a lot less durable than most melee units, so they'll lose a straight fight to pretty much any melee type. But what they like to do is try and flank your ranged units and then attack them by surprise, because once they get too close, your archers can't shoot them anymore, and then they're in serious trouble. The last unit type we get for this level is a dwarf. Dwarves throw grenades. That's kind of all you need to know about them. The main thing is that they're useful for dealing with enemies that like to clump together and are durable, but are slow-moving, like Thrall, which are the enemy's basic melee unit. In addition, there is friendly fire in this game, and there's no option to turn friendly fire off. So, your dwarves will probably kill more of your units than the enemy does. They're extremely useful, and they also can be a major hazard to your own forces.
Your order, sir. Yes, sir.
Also, you can see units that I control are highlighted in green on the mini-map. Units that I don't, that the enemy controls, are highlighted in red. And I can tell from these two red dots over here that two ghouls are trying to flank me. That's one of the reasons why I'm keeping my warriors this close to my archers and my dwarf.
Got him. Yeah. Ready.
Ghouls have a special kind of scripting where they will generally not even try to go after you if there are melee units nearby. So I'm actually just going to send two warriors specifically to go after them.
Okay.
Alright, that was the first group, and if you look at the mini-map, you can already see the second group coming across the bridge. And that includes these guys. These are soulless. They're basically the enemy's version of archers.
Sir?
However, since they're hovering, they don't need to,
Yes, sir.
Actually, here's a better strategy. Let's retreat.
We're Stand moving. Clear. Sir?
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes.
Alright, the dwarf took a bit of damage there. Let's continue retreating.
Yes, sir.
I have a plan.
Let's get him.
Yeah.
The plan is Thrall and Soulless move at slightly different speeds. So,
Ready.
alright, archers take out that last Thrall.
That was mine.
I'm separating the enemy's Thrall and Soulless so that now my warriors can charge the Soulless, and ranged units like archers and Soulless do not do very well against melee units. They tend to get overwhelmed very quickly when forced into melee combat, especially since every ranged attack in this game has a minimum range, where you can actually be unable to attack an enemy because they're too close to you. Kind of makes sense. It's probably fairly difficult to hit someone with a bow and arrow when they're right up in your grill, but it is also quite useful for us. Alright, try and take out the ghouls and then get into position, and we don't get back into formation, and we do not want the dwarf to attack anything, because dwarves have a tendency to get excited and throw a grenade at something that is in combat with your melee units. And that's the end of that level. They do that little celebratory thing after the end of every level. That level doesn't necessarily end after wiping out the second wave. The way it works is basically wave after wave of enemies will come after you, and eventually when you've managed to kill enough of them, they'll start retreating. And then when every enemy has either run away or died, then that's the end of that fight. So, at the end of each level, we have this lovely summary screen showing who survived. In this case, everyone survived. The number of kills each unit type inflicted. So I killed 6 enemies with my warriors, 8 with my archers, and 8 with my dwarf. And they also show what percentage of the damage they inflicted. The warriors actually inflicted the most damage. And also how many of each unit type I lost over the course of this mission. In this case, I didn't lose anybody. They also show us heroes. Heroes are an interesting thing. Basically, units in this game actually gain experience from killing enemies and from surviving battles, and become a little bit better at whatever they do. So units experienced units will attack faster, and will also be more accurate if they have a ranged attack, the more experience they have. The handful of units with the most experience in your force at the moment will actually be will be shown here. And in addition, I said that surviving battles is one of the things that gets units experience. yes, they actually, your experienced units do carry over between missions, which is really cool. One of the really fun things about this game is the fact that you can watch a single unit who you had with you at the first level gradually get stronger and stronger as you progress through the game. And then also it shows the number of enemies we killed total and how many of different unit types. So we killed 14 Thrall, 4 Soulless, and 4 Ghouls. And the damage ratio. So we inflicted about 3.5 times as much damage as we took during this fight. And also, this will show us the kill ratio. So if we had lost anybody, it would show the number of units we lost versus compared to the number of units that we killed. But since we didn't lose anybody, you can't divide by 0. One thing you may notice that this game does not have is a save button on the summary screen. If you want to save, you need to move into the next level and then save at the beginning of that level. So that's going to be the end for this part. I'm planning on giving each level one video all to itself. I'm experimenting on making shorter videos than I did during the Dark Souls project. So I'm just going to stop the recording here and then start recording the next part immediately, and then just save and quit once I actually can. So that's the end for this part. This is Science Viking signing off as usual. I love you all, and I will see you next time.